Hi and welcome to my PlayHouse, and today we're gonna continue with this Hewlett-Packard Cloudline CL3100 Generation 3. And I read the comments on my last video and I got a lot smarter on this. This server is not, well, it's Hewlett-Packard, but it's not Hewlett-Packard. It's like they have made a server where they have taken all of their, what do you call that, proprietary stuff and not use it, and just use standard compatible components in here. So it's a Hewlett-Packard without really being a Hewlett-Packard. So it doesn't have any of the Hewlett-Packard stuff-ish, and it acts pretty much as if it could be a Supermicro on Asus or something completely different. It doesn't brag about being an HPE server at all. Do remember to read the comments in my videos. There's a lot of really smart guys down there, and if you're smarter than me, which you most definitely are in some aspects of some subject, please join this conversation down there and tell me how it's done or how it is, and so on and so forth. But always do keep the conversation nice and jolly and in a good tone. So today we're gonna turn on this server because it's silent as the wind. Yeah, it might be a storm that day because it's not silent at all. So yeah, I think we'll just keep the camera angle and I'll just go and turn it on and we'll enjoy the noise. It just has one tiny little button, and that's not bad, right? Yeah, it's noisy. So yeah, I don't think this is an underbed server. I think this is a data center server, or a shed server, or deep in the basement server. It doesn't make that amount of noise all the time, but it at startup it's extra noisy. So at the moment there is nothing to boot on. It's saying that down here. There is only that there's a 14 terabyte hard drive in there, and apparently there is nothing on it. We can go and see, well, we can see the BIOS if it will let us in there, and I have to press delete. I cheated. I made sure that I could figure this out yesterday, randomly pressing delete here, because there is only seconds to get in there. It should come up with an AMI BIOS thing here, there, American something. And it will be a little bit and we'll get into the BIOS. It's the HPE, we're gonna go in there afterwards, and it sees our 14 terabytes, it's 12.73 here, but it is 14 terabytes. So here we are in the BIOS, or the Wi-Fi. It is actually an Wi-Fi. Yeah, this is very far from what you normally expect from a Hewlett-Packard server. So there is main, there is advanced Intel RC setup, there is server management, there is GPNV logs, security and boot. Might need to go in there. There's the boot order down here, so at some point we probably need to mingle with that. So let's just go investigating. We can see Intel RC setup. It tells us stuff about the processors, for example. There it tells us what CPUs are in here. These are the Intel Xeon CPUs E5 2620s version 3. It's not the quickest, they're 2.4 gigahertz. I have no idea how many cores that is, but we will check that later. Or maybe it will. Okay, apparently it's a 6-core processor because yeah, we can enable or disable 6 cores. We cheated a little bit there, and down here we can enable and disable different processing features like hyperthreading. There's a lot of stuff there. So, okay, and also we have server management, and down here we can go and configure the network for the management card. We can go and tell it to use static IP or a DHCP server. So I think we'll just put it to that. So as soon as I put a network connection into that port, it should take an IP number from my DHCP server. Yeah, this is a little bit noisy, but this is real live server work. Oh, I see a little arrow there, so there's even more menu things. Oh, there's an option to save and get out. That was the last thing. Save changes and exit. Okay, we'll do that. I have ready the screwdriver and hard drive screws, and it seems that this little caddy here, well, it doesn't need any screws. It just, well, you hold it together, and then when you pop it in the server will hold it together. So it's apparently just to put this in, but there is a tiny bracket here that also needs to go in, so we need to put that in there. And the hard drive, okay, so you just hold it together and pop it in the server. A bit fiddly, I must admit. I'm just putting in a boot drive. This is a 128 gigabyte Samsung SSD. It's nothing. It comes out of a normal PC, a tiny PC. So let's pop that in. I'm not sure they are hot pluggable, so let's turn this off. Just to not ruin anything. I think there might be Windows 10 on there, so let's turn that on. Oh, there is ESXi on this. That's not gonna be very good. Not for testing purposes, but just for testing purposes, it did just boot ESXi 7.00. So yeah, no issues whatsoever. Some random hard drive that I had laying around where I tried to install that, and that worked. Big surprise there. I've forgotten, this video is sponsored by Bargain Hardware, who sent me this noisy server. It's an awesome storage server. It's a bit noisy, so this is probably not for your bedroom. It's for the garage or for the shed or for your data center somewhere else than where you sleep. And it would be an awesome storage server for a business. Maybe together with a couple of other servers, you could make a distributed storage system like vSAN or something like that. I'm gonna be putting in some drives in here, so we'll get to that. Right now I'm messing around with trying to boot it up and install. I want some sort of Windows on there, server or something, and just because that's where I'm mostly at home. So here we get a boot menu, and we have different options, but I have replaced the hard drive. This 120 has gone out, and I put in a 1 terabyte Samsung SSD, but I've also put in my Samsung flash drive, and that's what I'm hoping to boot it up on, because I have my ISO files of that. Just funny enough, it's the same size as this disk. It's a 128 gigabyte USB key. Should we just for fun and giggles try server 2022? That would be fun. Let's run that. I have my 1 terabyte SSD. We're gonna put the server 2022 on here. I just wanted to show you how long this server is. So in the middle we have the Cloudline 3103. In the bottom we have a DL560 generation 8, and on top we have a DL380 generation 8. And if we go to the back of the servers here, yeah, we can see that they give up before the Cloudline does. So DL560 Gen 8 and DL380 Gen 8, and the Cloudline here gives us a good extra run for its money here. Something funny yesterday when I was messing with this, when I took the lid off, I want to take the drive cages out so that I can start mounting those, but it becomes quick, and it's not doing it now. The fan was blowing so hard that the lid couldn't stay down. I found that funny, so I'm gonna take some of these out. actually like this tray system. So there's a cutout here in one end, and that's where the connection goes. As far as I haven't actually tested it yet, but that makes sense. So the connection goes like there, and the screw holes lines up. And I am lazy, and there is like an engrave, so it fits there, and yeah. So I'm just popping in 2 screws. I don't think I need more than 1, but so I put in 1 in each side, 1 in the front and 1 in the back. And that's a 10 terabyte hard drive there. Server 2022 is ready installing. We can see the different stuff here. 16 gigabyte of RAM. We have our 2 CPUs. And if we go to our network settings here and try to change the adapters, there's absolutely nothing there. So and I did go around the back and plug in a network connection, and that didn't work. So it's not working because there is a whole lot of not found devices here. So somehow I need to update Windows, but I don't have network. And if we go into the network adapters here, we can see that there is actually the X520. These are the 10 gigabit network cards. So I'm gonna try and take one of these converters. I'm gonna pop that in, and we'll see if we get any results. Okay, so I'm booting the server right now to see if it helps, but I'm actually gonna turn it off because I want to pop in those hard drives that I have screwed in. So we're gonna pop the cover again. We're gonna put them in after size. This is a 14 terabytes, and this one is, what is this? This is a 10 terabyte, so that goes in here. Let's see if my theory is correct. And then this one is a 12 terabyte. So we are popping in additional 42 terabytes on this server, combined with the already existing 14. So that should give us 56 terabytes. Is that correct? I think so. Lock, 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 lock. Okay, so we are 5 hard drives in. We have 7 to go. So let's see what the HPE says here. We should probably try and go into that. That's Control C when it's done with this thing. Some of those hard drives that I just popped in are ever so slightly iffy. There. So this is what this looks like. It sees the HPE over here, and it tells us that the firmware is in IT mode. So maybe it's possible to reprogram that and put it into rate controller mode. But if we go in here, there's more options. We see the drives. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all of them are showing up. That's nice. We have the 14 terabytes is an ATA SATA drive, where the other ones are SAS drives. So there is that. Okay, let's just boot the server. And here booting it, it also shows the drives that are available. So we have 12, 10, 999, and that's the different sizes that it pops up with. It's a really nice server when it's off. It's rather so loud when it's on. I have prepared 3 more drives. I'm quickly running out of large hard drives, but I have 3 more here. It would look better if this one is over here. It's another 10 terabyte. That brings us up to 86 terabytes as I calculated. 14, 12, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. So 86 terabytes. And I have 4 bays left and 1 SSD. We're getting there. This is awesome. I'll be smart and I'll take the trays out this time so that I can fill it up with something else. So I'm out of big hard drives. Okay, so this one needs to come out before this one can come out. What have they made here? Oh, I remember. Okay, this is different. This one pops up the entire thing. Pops up here, and then these pops out. Okay, so I can't do. Oh, okay. Did you see that? So these trays are in here, and then this thing pops down here and it's locked into place, but it can't come out because of this. So the whole thing pops up like that with cables and everything, and then you can release the trays. Yeah, some engineer has been working overtime on that one. I'm messing with the networking here. It's not going well for me. Okay, so we are out of the really large hard drives. I have a couple of 4 terabytes, these two Hitachi drives that we're going to be putting in, and then I have a couple of 3 terabytes that is also going in, and that just, I think that adds up to just 100 terabytes, which is a nice round number. Let's put the 3 terabytes here. This up and pop the 4 terabytes in there. Okay, so we moved a little bit away from the noise in the other room. I have connected to this management port that is in the server. I configured it in the BIOS. I think you saw that. I enabled it and it has taken a DHCP address and it got number 29. So to get in here, the password is admin and then you log in. That's the default password anyway. And yeah, this is kind of it's not that great. There's a lot of sensors that you can see here. It's a tiny web interface where you can do different stuff. You can launch the remote console, which is probably fine. Then there is some information about different numbers. There is some server health, sensor reading, some logs, configuration. I tried this network stuff and yeah, other configuration options. It's not that wild. The remote console is probably some of the stuff that this is good for. And then there is server power control, where you can reset the server and power off the server and power off the server. Orderly shutdown, power on, and power cycle maintenance. Yeah, you can preserve the configuration and restore the configuration, and system administrator. Wonder what that is. Okay, you can set the username for that, and you can do some firmware upgrading. So it's not that great, and it looks like This is made on a budget, that's for sure. So let's go back to the server. It sees all the drives. It has messed up here. Well, it might be my fault, but the C drive I have located on that 1 terabyte SSD, but the system files, the boot thing, 549 megabytes, it has put on that 14 terabyte drive. To get rid of that, I kind of have to reinstall it. I cheated and I went and I installed Server 2019 on here instead of Server 2022, because Server 2022 didn't have the drivers for the network card, and that was bothering me, and well, I couldn't really find them anywhere. And the drivers from Intel, somehow they checked what operating system was on here and just so that wasn't great. So, but it sees all the drives, they are here. So I have installed, okay, that actually not all of them are there. It actually does seem like I have a bit of an issue here. This is disk part, where we can just see that there is a 12, there's a 10, 9, and then we jump to 4 terabytes, and then the 3 terabytes are missing. Haven't got a clue where they are. I was checking another thing. This is one of the rails for the server, and I was afraid, because the server is so long, that maybe the rails would be too long, and not, well, of course the rails fits the server because this rail is for this server, but my rack is an old rack where you can't change the distance from here until there, and I have about 74 centimeters in my rack, and not all servers will do that, but this one will, or this rail will, because you can see here that the distance is about, well, 67, 68 centimeters, so the rails will go in my server. Just this week I was installing a Hewlett-Packard storage box, a DAS, and it's the D8000, and that thing is humongous. Should we shut this down? And finally it's quiet. Okay, I was installing this D8000, and that, well, it's 116 centimeters long, and it just fit in a 120 centimeters deep rack cabinet, and you could just close the front and the back door. But the rails for it, you needed 88.5 centimeters between front and back. We had to modify that rack that it was going into to have the right distance, which was the maximum amount of distance that could move out to, and then the storage box could just fit in there. So yeah, this server, the Hewlett-Packard Cloudline CL3100 generation 3, is noisy. I think you might have been able to hear that. Also, I've found that when you're sitting right next to it, the fans which are trying to blow air this way, well, some of them will be blowing air out all weird kind of ways, and it's as if something is missing around here. Well, air is popping out the wrong places, so it would be cool if they had a tighter fit so that air couldn't go around it here, because it is. Even those little gaps here, I could feel cold air coming out that way and blowing at me instead of going through the server. So even though the fans are trying to push it that way, it comes out in the front as well. So over here, where I was using the keyboard, I could feel a cold breeze. It's not that important, but yeah. It sees all the hard drives. When booting the HPE, it tells me that all the hard drives are in there. I have those 2 3 terabyte drives that I just have to figure out where it puts, why they're not showing up. Other than that, it works. And as we kind of randomly found out, it also does ESXi 7.0. Just booted, no issues whatsoever. I didn't go in there, so maybe there's all kind of issues in there, but at least it booted, and that is a big thing on that ESXi 7.0. If you're interested in this rather noisy server, you should probably have something professional to use it for, or at least place it somewhere where this noise doesn't matter. I am gonna move it out into the data center because I thought it would be nice to have it in here and work on it, but it's really not. Go over to Bargain Hardware, and that is bargainhardware.co.uk, and there you will get 5% off of your purchase if you go in and configure your own Cloudline CL3100 Generation 3. And they do also sell drives. That 14 terabyte drive in there is kind of sweet. Yeah, go check them out. And if you use my affiliate code, my PlayHouse, small letters, at checkout, you get 5% off of your purchase. Let's end that there, and then next time I'm gonna mount this in the rack, and we need to connect it to some 10G. And my grand idea right now is that I want to back up my Chia server because I've made around 100 gigabytes of Chia plots, but I'm really disappointed with Microsoft storage spaces. It feels like it's wasting my space, so I want to move it over to this one and then reconfigure the other one. So that is my grand plan. So tune in again, and hopefully we'll get this done. So thank you very much for watching my videos. Do subscribe to my channel so that you can see me again. Please remember to give this video a like, and have a really nice day. Bye bye.